tonight. Looking forward to seeing everyone, see familiar faces. It's like my whole team decided to pay visit today. Surprisingly, right? Cool. Get a lot of Michigan folks. Welcome, welcome.
I'm sorry? I didn't have my work. You don't have your work. Just take notes on this one and then transfer to your
That's 31 in the room. I don't like doing presentation with odd numbers, so everyone, please go find one more person to come learn this evening. Go make that perfect. So just go call your friend, tell them you have 2 more minutes to hop on for our workshop for today, workshop number 4. We have some awesome trainers lined up. We're going to be getting started very shortly. One of my favorite workshops because there's a lot of terms and information about SEP, what's ROC, what's a lot of different things. Like a lot of terms we'll be breaking down today, talking about retirement planning, other financial vehicles as well. Welcome to some more folks. To Reese, representing Michigan, welcome. Hey, we hit 40. Gonna be definitely a good workshop for today. I love everyone who's showing their beautiful faces too. Makes it feel good that you're not just talking to a screen. I can look in the mirror all day, but seeing you is much better. There's some awesome presenters tuning in, and just as we're about to get started, just remember some Zoom proper etiquette. Be safe. Can't turn your face up understandable who you are. Please be mindful of your background. Sometimes we have 200 people joining. I can say, don't show your face if you're not comfortable being on live television. So that's keep your background fresh and your surroundings too as well. Be mindful of that. And if you're not one of the presenters and speakers, please keep your microphone muted so that everyone will hear us. And just keep the room professional there. But feel free to leave the comment section to ask questions away, and we'll try to answer them to the best of ability while we're here. But again, talk to the individual who invited you here today to continue that conversation. So we have hit 7 o'clock in my area code. Again, my name is Rosajad Ezekiel. We are going to be getting started again. We started right now, so if the music come down. Awesome. Thank you so much. Good evening. Welcome everyone. My name is Rosajad Ezekiel, coming to you from Chicago O'Hare Financial Center. Been in the campaign for about 2 years now. Family has been associated with campaign for about 20 years now, having a wonderful time learning about financial literacy and helping other people learn about it today, learn about it as well. Today we're going to be having workshop number 4, but don't worry, this is your first workshop. You don't have to do them all in order. You'll still be able to benefit from that information as well. We have some awesome presenters lined up for this evening. We have Louisiana and Illinois representing. I'll let them present for themselves. But just again, just give some house rules. If you are not the one speaking, so if you're not the few presenters, please keep muted or please use the chat to ask any questions. Also, please grab your workbook. If you don't have your workbook, talk to the individual who invited you here to say, where's my workbook? I can't come to the workshop without a workbook. And now to get us started and pass on to our first trainer for tonight, I'll let him introduce it, talk a little about himself before he hops in. We have Jamil Muhammad coming to you straight from Louisiana. You should see his story. They got some good food down there, but I'll let him hop right into it. Take it away, Jamil.
Awesome. Can you hear me clear? Thumbs up if y'all can hear me good. Wonderful. Good evening. My name is Jamil Muhammad. I'm calling in from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been in this campaign for 3 years now. I'm a part of the new generation, so I love Monday night where you get to hear financial education from the little people's perspective, right? 27 years old and I love financial education. And I'm going to be talking to you guys today about my most favorite subject, retirement. So I see a couple people's cameras on. How many people on this call would like to be able to retire today? If I can see those hands up a little bit. Looks like everybody's raising their hand, they smile, and they're excited. Wonderful. So if that's you, then today's workshop is for you, okay? Because if you're like me, I want to retire in my 30s. In fact, forget the 30s. I'd like to retire tomorrow. So I'm going to show you some different vehicles and some different ways that you can start to begin planning for your early retirement, all right? So let's get this thing going here. Okay, can you see my screen good? Thumbs up if you can. Wonderful. So welcome everyone to our financial education workshop 4. So we're going to be talking about retirement planning, and then my fellow presenter will be talking a little bit about wealth preservation. Because yes, we want to retire, but we need to make sure that the money actually lasts, right? So make sure you get your workbook out, okay? Turn to the appropriate page while I read some disclaimers. This information should not be interpreted as accounting, investment, legal, or tax advice. It's not an offer to sell or solicit or buy any security or insurance products today. So keep your wallet at home, okay? This workshop is for educational purposes only, and our national campaign for financial literacy is to bring awareness and education. You're not going to learn everything in this class, all right? So just come back and take it again. However, we hope you'll learn basic concepts, gain more confidence in reaching your goals, and help empower others to do the same. So to preserve the integrity, because we really work hard to create these workshops and make them free for you. So to preserve the context, don't take photos, videos, or record, okay? So just make sure that you respect the integrity in it, okay? So, first things first, ladies and gentlemen. Who did their homework from last class? Raise your hand if you did your homework. I don't see nobody's hand go up. Y'all was raising them at first, now only a few people. It's okay. You gotta make sure you do your homework after every class because your homework helps, okay? Make sure that you also learn about the advantages of becoming a member with our organization, okay? Benefits are always good. Make sure that if you're getting good value here, you always refer somebody else, please, because this workshop, if someone would not have referred me to this, I would not be here today to be able to teach this class. Isn't that amazing what happens when you refer someone? And also make sure you bring your book to every class, okay? We have a very amazing PowerPoint to go along with the material in your book, and they both work hand in hand together, okay? All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna kind of roll the information out for you as I talk to give you the ability to write as I'm talking, okay? So what I'm going to share with you first is what we're going to go over in this workshop. Number 1, what sources of income will you have for retirement? A lot of us say, yes, I want to retire tomorrow, but we don't really understand how many sources of income do we actually need to have to do that. Number 2, we're going to learn some key differences among fixed, index, and variable annuities. And what is an annuity? You're going to learn about that today. How do IRAs and retirement plans work? And what is an IRA? A lot of confusing terminologies here, okay? What is your plan for long-term care? And have you even thought about it? Also, does Medicare cover all your costs? As a young person, I hear the word Medicare a lot, Medicare, Medicaid, and I also hear health insurance. Is it all the same? Is it different? Do you know? And also, estate planning is not only for the wealthy. What is estate planning? Do you need an estate? How do you create an estate? All those questions are going to be answered for you today. Okay, so let's keep this thing moving. So before I give y'all the semi-bad news, I'm going to give y'all some good news. Okay? So the good news is that most people, ladies and gentlemen, are going to live longer because of science and technology and medicine. In fact, check this out. The American life expectancy will be about 86.6 for men and about 88.8 for women. Now, for some reason, the women outlive us guys. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe we should change that, right? But, however, the bad news, ladies and gentlemen, is that most people are not saving for their retirement. That's the bad news. And I want to talk about this for a second here. Because sometimes there's worse things than having not enough money. Most people, they fear being broke. But have you ever thought about if you live to age 100 and you don't have money all through those times? Right? So this is the bad news. Most people are not saving enough for their retirement. But here's what I like to call a quote that will change the way that you think about the future. Retirement has less to do with age 65. Yes! That means I don't have to be 65 to retire. I can do it while I'm still young. It has to do with money saved. If you have plenty of money, you don't have to wait for 65. Uh-oh. So guess what? To my fellow millennials, we can do this. We can do this. We just have to figure out a way to accumulate what? Plenty of money, right? So let's talk about sources of income for the average retiree. So this is where the average sources of income for people age 65 and older typically come from. 38% is Social Security income, right? 18.4% is from their pensions, their IRAs, their 401ks. But look at the earnings. 30% of the income that they're making after they are 65 comes from them actually going to work and still having a job. And of course, income from other assets, like maybe they're receiving dividends or maybe they have some real estate. But you know what's the funny thing that's about this chart and graph here, ladies and gentlemen, if you're paying attention, is the other 2.8%. And you'll never guess where the other 2.8% come from, okay? If you're on this Zoom call, I want you to look at all the other people on the screen here. Slide it back and forth so you can see all the other faces. See, the other 2.8% comes from those friends that you borrow money from. Right? That's for the 2.8%. And that's okay. So what I'm telling you today is you need to make sure you have a lot of friends. Because maybe you can get a lot in that 2.8%, right? But this is the sources of income for retirement. So what you need to look at right now is look at the state of your earnings right now and ask yourself, how many of these do you have? How many of these do you have? Okay? And then you got to ask yourself another question. What will Social Security look like when you retire? That's something that, especially as the generation, of my generation, the millennial, we have to start thinking about that. Will there be Social Security? And then here's another question. How much can you rely on from your pension, IRA, 401k, and annuity? Because maybe we go from job to job and we don't get in everybody's retirement plan. And so you have a 401k, but it's a small 401k. What about, do you have other savings? Is there any other things that you can rely on? And if you have a house, you have to start thinking about it. Will you end up having to borrow money and redo your mortgage again to borrow equity from your house? And you also have to think about the reality. Will you have to work much longer into old age? Right? These are some questions that we got to ask ourselves. So that's why you on page 68 in your book, and if you don't have a book and you're just attending today, write on a piece of paper, write it down. Where are your sources of income going to come from? If you were retiring right now in 5 years, where would your money come from? Write those down, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the retirement crisis. Sorry, some more bad news, okay? The great 401k experiment has failed for many Americans. You need to know this number. This is not an up-to-date number, but we'll read it for the sake of the graph. 18,433, okay, is the median account in a 401k savings, according to a report done by the Employee Benefit Research Institute. Almost 40% of employees have less than $10,000. Even as the proportion of companies offering alternatives like pensions continue to drop. And the reason I said don't quote me on this number is because, of course, we just went through a pandemic. So there's a lot of people who have an even smaller number than this in their 401k. Right? I'm like one of those people, when I first started my job, I was excited. I heard so many people say 401k and 401k and all that throughout my entire going through college career, and I thought that was something that I needed to have. And as soon as I had it, I was happy, but I didn't even know how it worked. I was excited. Maybe that was you too, I don't know. But that's how it was for me. But the sad reality that nobody told me was that you need about $1 million to retire. Okay, if you attended our workshop too, there was a formula called 10-20. Okay, and in that 10-20, it's recommended that you have 20 times your current income for retirement, and you need to have at least 10 times your current income in insurance protection on your life. So think about today. If you make $60,000 a year, how much income would you need for retirement according to the 10-20 rule? $60,000 a year times 20 years is $1.2 billion. Simple calculation. So what do you make today? What do you make a year? You need to take whatever your yearly salary plus all of the other income you're bringing in, multiply it times 20. That's your retirement number. That's the amount that you need to start working towards. Let's build self-security. See, if you know your number, then you can actually put a target date on when you can stop working and enjoy your life versus just living and working every day. We got to build self-security instead of social security. It starts with the mindset. If you agree, put that in the chat. Just say, I agree. It starts with the mindset. Yes, right? And make sure that you do your income calculation. Make sure that you know how much money you need for retirement so you don't have to work until you're 65. Okay? So, how do you save for retirement? It's so many things out there, so many different things that I can put my money in. All of these people are having different conversations about pensions and IRAs and stocks and currencies and equities and annuities and savings and oh my goodness, it's so much to make your hair fall out, right? The question is, what do you have and what do you know about it? See, sometimes instead of diving into new information, you should take time to review the information that you currently are utilizing and become a master at what you already do. Right? Some people want to learn 1,000 kicks instead of mastering one kick. So let's break down a couple of these. Some of these terms and boxes and accounts that you may have heard of before. So let's talk about, we're on page 69 in your workbook, traditional IRA versus a Roth IRA. Okay? So let's put them side by side and compare them and see what they do and don't do. So the first thing you need to know is, what is a traditional IRA? A traditional IRA, the first box, okay, it's an IRA that allows tax deduction on your contributions. So what does that mean? I'm going to give you a simple example. If you make $50,000 a year, well, you're going to have to pay taxes on $50,000 a year income, right? But what if you were able to save some money in an account, and whatever you put in that account, they allow you to deduct from your income for that year? So let's say you make $50,000 a year, but you put $10,000 into your traditional IRA. Well, now you only have to pay taxes on the $40,000 instead of the $50,000. Okay, so that is what tax deduction or contribution. They allow you to deduct from your taxable income the amount that you contribute to the plan. Okay, but in the future, you have to pay taxes on that income. So make sure you understand that. What you're doing is deferring your current taxes to a later time. And you know what happens when we put off our responsibilities, right? They build up on us, okay? So you put your responsibility to the side, your tax responsibility, and it's gonna build up for you until you're ready to take on that responsibility. And that's when you pay your taxes. Whereas a Roth IRA, you're not able to deduct your contributions when you contribute to this account, and here's why. Why do you think that? Well, it's because you pay the taxes on that income current year, this year. So you do your responsibility now instead of putting it off until later. Okay? You know how you do your chores now, you can snore and lay in your bed and you don't have to do anything all day, right? So you do the responsibility now, or you pay the tax now. It grows, and guess what? The money also earns interest for you. And later on in the future, you're able to take all of your income tax-free. So that's the difference between contributing to a traditional IRA versus a Roth. Now, there's another thing that you need to know about, okay? It's called the required minimum distribution. This has actually updated. So by age 72, okay, you can make that update in your notes, okay? But by age 72, you're required to take a minimum contribution from your traditional IRA. And if you don't, they will penalize you. So they require you. So yes, you get to put off your tax deferred income till later, but there is a certain age that you have to start taking your money and paying your taxes. So they don't just let you just defer it forever, okay? By age 72. But in a Roth IRA, the difference here is that there is no required minimum distribution that you have to take at a certain age. So if you want to let your money sit in your Roth, for example, to age 80 or 90 or even 100, you don't have to worry about having to take any of those required distributions out and being penalized, okay? And of course, as I shared with you earlier, and now you already know this, the earnings that you get from your traditional IRA are taxed at withdrawal later on when you take the money. And the earnings from your Roth IRA are never taxed unless withdrawn early. Okay? All right. And this is tax deferred versus tax advantage. So now you understand a little bit about taxes. Taxes are not all the same. All investments accounts are not the same. Everything has a different rule and a different set. So now you're ready to confidently go look at the account that maybe you have at the job and be able to understand what actually is happening in your retirement plan. Because some companies offer Roth accounts at work and some offer traditional. So you need to know which one you have, and now you can be able to actually make a decision on how you want to invest your money. Isn't that amazing? Give yourself a big hand today, right? For learning the difference between tax deferred and tax advantage, okay? So now, let's talk a little bit about saving for retirement, okay? Because now that you understand taxes, you can better understand the different types of retirement plans. So there's defined benefit, defined contribution. Don't worry, I'm gonna talk about both of them to make it simple for you. So let's talk a little bit about defined benefit. This is the traditional pension. If you get a pension right now, okay, a pension, if you're getting a pension or you have a pension, say me in the chat. And I promise it probably will not be a lot of people that say me, because a pension right now is what they call dinosaur retirement. That's something that a lot of us is so extinct, we never even heard of it. We haven't even seen the fossils, right? So let's talk a little bit about what is a pension. Well, it's a plan that is paid for by your employer. It's very costly for your employer, but you receive a set payout at the end. Remember when Grandpa was working on the railroad and they worked for 25, 30 years, and then when they retire, they get that railroad pension. And they get that check every month for the rest of their life. Amazing, right? But guess what? Think about it. We just read that we're living longer, right? And it's very costly for an employer to pay you a pension. So they had to figure out ways to make it less costly for them. In fact, when pensions were set up, they weren't even set up to pay out that long. Because back then we weren't living that long. We just recently started living longer, guys. So think about now what most of us on this call do have is a defined contribution. 401k, 403b, 457 plan. Well, what is the difference? Well, this one is paid by who? The employee. Oh, that means we got to put the money in there ourselves. See, the defined benefit, they just have to go to work. They gonna get their check regardless. We got to put the money in ourselves. Some employers match, but guess what? Some don't. Are they required to match? No, they're not. And the amount is defined by your investment. You see that Y word? Your investment. Did it say just because your money is invested in your company's stock don't guarantee that you have retirement? No, it doesn't. That means you have to learn, you have to get financially educated, and you have to be in control. Because if you don't define your investment, somebody else will. And what will you have at age 65 when you're ready to retire? So it's time for us to have self-security, right? And not social security. So now, okay, it's making sense to you. Now let's talk about what 401k is. I always thought that 401k was a box or it was an account. Do you know that 401k is not even an account? This number is a tax code. Did you know that? Let's talk about it now. So 401k, the number 401k code, okay, let's talk about this. It's a retirement savings plan sponsored by an employer. That's it. No more confusion. You don't have to be confused about anything else anymore. If somebody says 401k, first thing comes to your mind. It's a retirement savings plan sponsored by an employer. And to my teachers on the call, or maybe to my people who work maybe at churches or hospitals, maybe you've heard of this one, 403b. What is this? Similar to 401k, available only for employees of tax-exempt organizations like schools, hospitals, or religious organizations. So that means that can you have a 403b if you work for a company? No. Unless it's a tax-exempt company, like a school, hospital, or religious organization. What is a 457? This is a qualified plan available to state and local public employees and to certain nonprofit organizations. So most people in government, they have this type of plan. But what do you notice, guys, students who are in class today, what do you notice? Is that all of these plans are very similar. They all are just designated for a different type of work or a different type of income or organization. So no more being confused about retirement. There's just many different vehicles, but as long as you understand them, this will be easy for you to take control, right? And let's talk a little bit about some of the advantages of 401k and 403b and 457. Don't let people tell you that these are bad. It's bad to have one, it's bad to use it, because you need to know everything has advantages. So let's talk about it. There's tax advantages, right? Remember I told you earlier, you get to defer your earnings on the deposits that you make with pre-tax dollars. So they put the money into your 401k before they even tax your check. So they're putting even away a bigger percentage by doing it that way. Also, it's all a deduction. The deposits are made from your paycheck. You don't even know that this got took out. Sometimes it's better to save that way. And you get to participate in something called dollar cost averaging, which we talked about in workshop number 3. How you're able to consistently buy shares and put money in the market, even when the price is high and even when the price is low, right? Also, there's matching contributions. Some employers match a certain percentage of what you put in to your 401k, so that's more money for you. And when you leave the job, you can roll your money over into something maybe like an IRA. So your money don't have to stay at the job. So you can be your own investor while you're there working. And look, we even have plans for small businesses, because there are small businesses out there who maybe have, a few employees and they want to be able to offer some type of retirement plan for them. Well, there's plans called Simple IRA, right? For small businesses and self-employed people, the employers are required to match the contributions that the employees make, right? As of 2018, of course, every year they make adjustments to the different contributions and how much you can put in. But as of 2018, about $12,500 from the employers, and they allow you a catch-up provision of $3,000. So at a certain age, you're able to put in more money than the allowed amount to be able to catch up and save more, right? What about a SEP IRA? You may have heard of this term before, okay? It's funded by self-employed people or by the employer of a small business, right? An employee cannot contribute to a SEP IRA. And the employees don't pay tax until they withdraw the funds. Both simple and SEP IRAs are simple and low cost to set up. So you don't have to work at a company or a nonprofit organization or government industry. If you're a small business, you can also have a retirement plan for yourself as well as for your employees. And then of course there's the KEO plan, right? It's for self-employed or unincorporated businesses, right? These are a little bit difficult to administer, but they do allow you, if you're a really, really high income earner, allow you a contribution limits over $50,000 a year. So you're able to put in a lot of money into these plans, okay? So you're a multi-million-dollar company, you're here on this workshop today, give me a holler. We can talk about it, okay? But if you have your workbook, okay, here's a little chart for you about how much you can put into an IRA and how much of a catch-up are you allowed, if you're over the age of 55, to be able to add additional funds to your plans, okay? From the IRAs to the 401ks to the simple IRAs to the SEP IRAs, okay? So you're able to see all of the contribution limits for each, okay? So use this information on your workbook to complete the exercise at the bottom, okay? On page 69, okay? And then of course, you have a rollover chart. When I first saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like my own personal financial advisor in my pocket. And I'm able to now, I can look at the accounts that I have and I can know for sure where I can put it and where I can't put it. And if I do put it there, what's the penalty? See the little fine print to the left? You know, sometimes we get messed up about fine print. Well, this is your opportunity to read the fine print and go right into it head first and feel confident. So in your spare time, I want you to definitely look at that and learn from it, okay? And here, by the way, there are some benefits to having a rollover, to being able to roll over your money, okay? Maybe you worked at a job for a while and accumulated some funds into a 401k and now you want to transfer that with you. Well, here's some benefits that you get by doing that. Number one, you get to continue your tax deferral, because remember, you don't have to pay taxes until that required age of what, 72. Or maybe you're not that age right now. Maybe you don't want to pay those taxes. So you can continue to defer them by rolling the funds over. Or you can increase your investment options. Maybe options that you didn't have at the job, you can, right, be able to do more. Or you can also potentially lower fees. Some IRAs have less management costs than others. And simplification of the way you invest, right? That means that you can be in control versus having to call your HR and set an appointment with the guy who does the retirement, who's not available until September, and right now it's May. You know what I'm talking about, Therese? Right? So, control your money. That's all we want you to do. So we use this to answer the questions at the top of page 72, okay? So I'm going to talk a little bit about annuities. I did throw that at you guys earlier. Now I'm going to circle back around and touch on it. So what is an annuity? Well, an annuity is a reverse bet. Think of it as the opposite of life insurance. You see, in life insurance, if you die too soon, your family will get a big death benefit payout. In a way, the family kind of wins, especially if I only pay $10 a month for $500,000, and then my friend croaks in 1 year, I only gave y'all $120, and you give me $500,000. That's a lot of money. My family wins. Well, in an annuity, the way that you win is actually living too long. See, if you live too long, you win a long-term payout, okay? I'm gonna just make it really simple for you. Let's say you give an annuity $100,000, and they're gonna pay you for the rest of your life. Let's say $10,000 a year. After 10 years, ladies and gentlemen, they've already paid you $100,000. In a regular retirement, you wouldn't have any more money left. But the annuity is gonna continue to pay you every year until you what? Die. So that means the longer you live, the longer you win. In life insurance, the shorter you live, the faster you win. So you kind of see how both of those are opposites. If you get it, put it in the chat box. I get it, okay? I just want to make sure that everybody's following me. Because it's not the same when you're here in the audience, right? I can see your faces if we were all in the room. But the lifetime income payout option from an annuity is a good solution for people who live a long life or worry that they may run out of money, okay? All right, everybody says they get it. Thanks, guys. There's 3 different types of annuities, okay? You need to write this down. Fixed, index, and variable. FIV, 5. Fixed, index, and variable. Those are the 3 different types of annuities, and I'm going to talk about all 3 of them. Okay? So let's go. All right. Annuities. So, the type of annuity that you pick, remember, fixed, index, variable. 5, FIV, that's how you remember that. It depends on your investment choice. So, if you want a fixed annuity, that means that you get a guaranteed fixed rate of return. That means you're going to get that money as long as the company is okay, as long as they're still here, you're going to get that fixed rate for the amount of your contract. Right now, that going rate on a high note is about 2.5%. If you find something better, please let me know. I'm looking for something. Right? 2.5% is guaranteed. What about an index annuity? Your returns are credited by a market index, such as the S&P 500. That means that the interest that you get is based off of the growth of another type of investment. Okay? And what these two, fixed and the index annuities, do give you, they give you some peace of mind that you don't have to worry about loss of your investment while your investment is growing for you. So that's the trade-off, okay, with these two. Your investment is somewhat guaranteed that you won't lose. But then you have the variable annuity, which the returns depend on the performance of investment choices and portfolios. Okay? So with the variable annuity, it allows for a higher selection of investment choices, but of course you take the risk as the investor. So that's why you gotta make good choices. So that's why you need a lot of knowledge. Does that make sense? But all of these have a fit in someone's portfolio. Maybe not you, maybe not me, but you won't know unless you understand all three. Maybe not you, maybe not me, but you won't understand unless you understand all three. Oh, I hit my little rap, right? So let's talk about some of the annuity phases, okay? So what are the phases of putting money into an annuity? So the first phase is the accumulation phase. Okay, that's when you accumulate money after tax dollars. So this is you putting your money into your plan. You get your paycheck, they already took the taxes out. Oh, they took $500 in taxes. This is all I have left. All right, now I'm gonna use that to put into my annuity. And what they're able to do is if I get growth on that money, they're going to defer my growth. Tax deferred. So you know what that means now, right? They defer the interest until later, right? That's what tax deferred means. The distribution phase is the second annuity phase. And what happens during distribution? Things are being given to you. And there's different options. Give it all to me. Lump sum, cash it out. Or lifetime income. Pay me every year or every month for the rest of my life. Or pay me for a certain period of years because the rest of my life is so vague. So give me a set number of years where I know I'm going to get this amount for 10, 20, or 30 years. Right? Or you have life income with, thank you, Emily. Look, as long as you like my jokes, I know I'm doing good. Life income with period certain. Okay, so they pay you for the rest of your life, but only up to a certain amount of years. And if you die within that period of time, they still pay your family or joint survivor. So where I'm on with you, honey, me and my wife. And if I die, my wife, she gets paid until she dies. And if she dies, I get paid until whatever, the same way, right? But remember, it's taxed as ordinary income when withdrawing on the gains. And all of these IRAs, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, SEP IRA, all these IRAs I shared with you guys today, they all have something called the 59.5 rule. So you need to make sure that you know about the 59.5 rule, okay? That just means that if you take contributions from this plan before 59.5, they're gonna assess you a penalty. Who likes to pay penalties? If you like to pay penalties, put in the chat box, I do. Please don't put that in the chat box. Also, annuities have a surrender charge, normally between 5 to 7 years, okay? And all that means is that they charge you a penalty if you decide that you don't want the contract anymore, right? Or you want to cancel it early within that period, whether it's a 5-year, a 7-year, a 9-year, 10-year, 13-year contract. So make sure that you're aware of that as you're nearing your retirement age. You don't want to get a 10-year contract and you retire in 3 years. Make sense? Okay. And here's for my people who I said that you get penalized. What do you mean, Jamil? If I take the money before 59.5? Well, it's the same in an annuity, an IRA, a Roth IRA, the 401k, the hey. It's a 10% penalty if you withdraw from before 59.5. Why? Well, I don't know why. Right? But that's the rule of the account. They allow you to defer your taxes. You have to play by the rule. And if you don't, the IRS, when you take money out, so here's the other thing, they're going to assume that your earnings are withdrawn first. Right? First in, last out. Or first in, first out. That's what they call it, FIFO, right? and that withdrawn money pays taxes as ordinary income. For example, let's say you put an annuity, you put money into the account, and it earns you $10,000. Yay, that's a lot of money, congratulations. And you decide to withdraw $5,000. Well, if you're in a 25% tax bracket, first off, you need to know what tax bracket you're in, right? You can Google that. Google based off of your income so you know your tax bracket. So take your tax bracket, and number one, because you're gonna pay a 10% penalty on that $5,000, okay? So right off the bat, because you aren't 59.5 yet, they're gonna charge you $500 off of that, and then you're gonna pay 25% in taxes on the $5,000, which is $1,250. So that's a total of $1,750 that's gonna be deducted from you making that $5,000 withdrawal. So you see, you need to be able to have that understanding so that you know how to properly utilize the vehicles that you have, okay? So let's talk about some advantages of rolling now the 401k into an annuity. See, we talk about 401k, we talk about IRA, we talk about annuity. Now let's bring them together. So here's some sprinkles to put on top of your ice cream, okay? Number one, you get guaranteed principal. That means the money you bring to the table, you have no worry about losing that money. Also, flexibility. You can change your investment options to suit your goals. Maybe you want to start off in a fixed, or maybe you want some index, or maybe you want the variable. Then you have the flexibility to do that. You also get income protection, because now you don't have to depend on you running out of money. If you do an annuity, the annuity will pay you if you live too long with lifetime income. And there's death benefit protection. What does that mean? If you pass away too early and don't get to use all your money, you can have your account set up to pay the rest of your beneficiary or continue a check. See, there's different types of annuities, and the first one is called an immediate annuity. What does that mean? You give a large lump sum of money to the insurance company in exchange for a series of payments, okay? You know, when people win the lottery, this is what they get most of the time. Right? They win out that few million, but they get it over a series of payments. And the monthly check is determined by the size of your account, the amount of money, the current interest rates, and your life expectancy. You receive it for life, or you can choose other options such as period certain, joint, and survival with your spouse, like I explained earlier to you. So there's many different ways that you can receive the money. So use this to complete your exercise on page 72 and 73. See, now you should be ready to handle this thing, to tackle your retirement. It shouldn't be a scary topic anymore, okay? So now, with that being said, now that we've talked about retirement income, we talk about what are the different types of investments that you can use, okay? Now I wanna bring you some even more important news. Is that there's a little monster out there, and his job is to eat all of your retirement savings, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, okay? So my good friend, Mr. Reggie, he's gonna share with you about the Tyrannosaurus Rex and how you can protect your retirement. Take it away.
Thank you so much. You guys can hear me okay? Perfect, yep. Thank you so much, Emil. That was awesome information. Yeah, we're gonna continue this on here, and real quick, a little background about me. I'm 33 years old, out here in Chicago, part of Oak Brook Financial Office, #1 office in the nation, alrighty. So, let me go ahead. Continue on here. All right, so we're going to start with here. Oh, bear with me just a moment. There we go. Guys, sorry about that. Got this working earlier. Go. Alright, perfect, there we go. Alright, so we're going to start things off with long-term care. There's a good chance that a lot of us are going to need long-term care in the future, and that's something that we need to consider. And right now, if you guys are following on our workshop book, we are on page 74 for you. So 7 out of 10 people over 65 will require some long-term care services. And 4 out of 10 people receiving long-term care are between the ages of 18 and 64. I don't know how many people, I've talked to in the past, few years. I've actually, my main focus actually in the last 10 years has been Medicare recipients and Medicare customers. So everyone keeps asking me, about long-term care. And unfortunately, Medicare doesn't actually cover long-term care, so that's something that you have to get on as a separate plan. Now, what exactly is long-term care? Long-term care is to help what you need when you're not able to do some of the basic activities of daily living, such as bathing, dressing, eating, continence, toileting, and moving in and out of bed. So those stuff that we even take for granted on a regular basis, that's something that we consider as far as long-term care. Long-term care is often associated with older people, but accidents and illness can happen at any age. Think about people who have had a stroke, chronic illness, Alzheimer's, anything about that. Now, what are the effects of long-term care on retirement savings and assets? Think about home health aid, $21 an hour, over $30,000 a year. Homemaker services, $19 an hour, $28,000 a year. Assisted living facility, $110 per day, $40,000 a year. Adult daycare, yep, there is adult daycare, ladies and gentlemen. $69 per day, $25,000 a year. Nursing home, $209 per day, $76,000 a year. Nursing home private, $233 per day, $85,000 a year. So everything's going to add up. So when you buy a life insurance policy, and go ahead and write in the chat for me, true or false, when you buy a life insurance policy with long-term care, is it possible that you may qualify for life insurance coverage but not for LTC? Let me see what you guys say. Got some trues here, true. All right, perfect. Y'all are correct. The average annual cost of long-term care in the United States is about, I would say, even more than $84,000. And who's going to pay for that? Think about who will take care of you? Your spouse, your kids, your grandkids. Risk of developing Alzheimer's. If you're over 65, 1 in 9 people. If you're over 85, guess what? 1 in 3 people. If you have few assets and live on Social Security benefits, should you buy LTC? Yes or no? Of course, you want to buy long-term care because you don't want to use up your own assets that you worked hard for. About that, right? All right. So there are 3 basic concepts to go over when it comes to the retirement and health side of things. You have your Medicare, which normally covers short-term care up to 100 days, and normally that's going to be within a skilled nursing facility. You got Medicaid, which covers long-term care, but it does have very strict income and asset requirements, qualifications, rules, also vary by states. Usually you have to exhaust most of your assets before they even consider Medicaid eligibility. And lastly, long-term care insurance. This is going to cover purchase to provide medical and non-medical services when you're unable to perform the basic activities of daily living, as we mentioned earlier. So Medicare. Medicare is your health insurance after age 65 in the U.S. Now, unless you're still working, you actually can delay your Medicare, but you must enroll in Medicare before you get any additional private Medicare supplement coverage. All right. Now, there are 4 basic parts to Medicare. You have your Medicare Part A, which is your hospital visits. This is going to be mostly free for most people. The reason why they say it's free is because we do pay into it. There is actually a small section on your pay stub that you'll see for Medicare. We actually pay into that at least 10 years or 40 quarters, and that's why they say it's free. You have Part B, which is your medical insurance for doctor visits. This is not free, unfortunately. Actually, for this year, for 2021, it's actually $148.50 a month. So that normally comes out of your Social Security check for those that are drawing Social Security. Then you have your Part D, which is your insurance for drug coverage. This helps lower drug costs. And then there's a thing called Part C, which is actually Medicare Advantage plans. It actually combines A, B, and D together, all in one plan for you. All right, so how do you apply for Medicare? Most of it's going to be done through Social Security. There are 2 enrollment periods to think about when you're applying for your Medicare. You have first your initial enrollment period, which is a total of 7 months, 3 months prior to your 65th birthday and 3 months after your 65th birthday. So we're in May right now, so if you're turning 65 this month in May, you had the earliest you could apply for Medicare would have been in February, and then you have until June, July, August, August until August to apply for your Medicare. Okay. Second part of it is going to be the special enrollment period. It's going to be for people. Most of them are going to be if you still are working, you have a special enrollment period. That if let's say you're still working after 65, you're allowed to enroll in Medicare after that period. And one thing to keep in mind too, as well too, is if you're still working, you can actually delay your Part B premium, so you don't have to pay that $148 right away. That's something that you just gotta talk to your, benefits advisor at your employer about if you're still gonna be working past 65. Now, if you end up missing those 2 periods, there is a general enrollment period from January 1st to March 31st. But keep in mind, if you do end up enrolling during that period, there are going to be some late enrollment penalties. So that's one of the things that most people don't really realize when they first turn 65 is, oh yeah, I have some time to enroll now. You either do it when you first are eligible during your initial enrollment period, or if you're still working, you have a special election period. But after that, if you have to enroll during the general enrollment period, look for a penalty, unfortunately. So, all right. And after signing up for Part A and B, you may have to sign up for Part D as well too. Get with the person that invited you here today. There are some additional information regarding Part D and signups as well too. So, all right. So we'll move right along into Medicare supplements or Medigap plans. Now we're on page 75 in your workbook. If you guys are following along, this is the insurance plan that will pay for the gaps, quote unquote, that Medicare does not cover, such as deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, and if you travel outside the U.S. as well too. Now, Medigap does not cover long-term care, so this is mainly going to be for medical services, anything that's medically necessary. Nursing facility, dental care, vision, hearing, all that stuff is actually not included as well too. Most Medicare supplement plans, there are some plans out there that they may give you some like discounts and stuff like that for vision and dental care, but most of the time you're not going to see that. Okay. Basic benefits are standardized among all plans, so regardless if you're going with Mutual of Omaha or Blue Cross and Blue Shield or United Healthcare or Humana, the Medigap plans are all going to be the same amongst all the companies. Okay. But we want to make sure that you pick the plan that's most cost effective for you. So, although all the benefits are the same, they actually have different prices with the insurance companies. And here's a quick chart about kind of a little bit of what it looks like. Now, keep in mind, as of 2020 of January 1st, if you're new to Medicare, then Plan F and Plan C are no longer available for those folks. The next comparable plan I would say would be next to that would be a Plan G. So that's going to cover everything except for the Part B deductible, which honestly, if you look at some of the pricing that's out there, the premium, the difference in premium between the two is actually more for a Plan F than you would be paying for a Plan G. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. So Part C, Medicare Advantage. As I mentioned, this is going to combine everything as far as your hospital, your doctor visits, and your prescription drug coverage. It is an alternative to Medicare, so basically your Medicare Advantage plan is the one that's going to be handling all your medical services for either hospital, doctor visits, and prescription coverage. The insurer for Medicare Advantage receives a per capita amount from Medicare to provide the benefits and services covered by Part A and B, and it usually does include Part D prescription. And one thing to keep in mind as well too, most Medicare Advantage plans also do have, you might have seen some commercials out there, especially during this past open enrollment period. They also do include some of those additional benefits like dental, hearing, and vision included in those plans as well too. So, all right. Now, Medicare Supplement is a additional plan to your original Medicare. You can go to any doctor or hospital of your choice, which is one of the good things about a Medicare Supplement. You have that freedom to go see any doctor you want. You don't have to worry about referrals or anything like that. With a Medicare Advantage plan, you would need to stay in network for their hospitals and networks. So if you have, let's say, an HMO plan, all your doctors are going to be under that plan. If you have a PPO plan, you pay less when you go in network, but you pay more if you go out of network. Now, although Medicare supplement plans cost more, Medicare Advantage plans is a cheaper and actually can be no cost. So depending on your area, whether if you're in Illinois, California, Maine, wherever, you may see $0 plans depending on your zip code. So ultimately, it's your life. You do want to make the right choice. Whether, keep in mind, are you the type of person that would rather pay more and not have to worry about bills in the future, or would you rather keep all your money now and then save up and make sure that you can pay for those co-pays or anything that's part of the Medicare Advantage plan? All right. So retiree healthcare costs is a lot more than you think. The average lifetime retirement health plan premium cost for, let's say, a hypothetical couple, roughly about $285,000, which includes the Medicare Part B. You have also your Part D coverage, as well as supplemental insurance, according to HealthView's latest report. And assume the life expectancy right now, most people are living between 87 for men, 89 for women. So let's take a look at this chart real quick. Projected cost for a 65-year-old couple. Now, overall cost, you're looking at $285,000 monthly cost, but future dollar cost, you're probably looking at more towards over $400,000. If you include dental, vision, co-pays, and other out-of-pocket expenses, that's where the estimated rise in costs come to almost $400,000. So retiree healthcare costs may be more than what you think. All right. So ultimately it comes down to rethinking about your household, right? Do you still need the same amount of space? Maybe moving to a smaller space may offer advantages. Right now, even my own parents are considering it because as they get older, we have stairs. Their knees start to buckle or anything like that. You want to make sure that maybe downsizing to a ranch house might be more beneficial for them in the long run, stuff like that. So easier for upkeep, lower maintenance costs. Look for an area with low property and income taxes. Look for a place closer to your doctor. Equity for downsizing can be put into savings for retirement, better weather. They're even considering moving to Texas, even though we live in Chicago, stuff like that. All right, so let's move on to estate planning. Estate planning is a process of determining the distribution of your assets upon your death. Estate planning also covers the management of your professional affairs in this event of incapacity. So we're on page 78 for those that are following along. Wealth preservation, everyone has an estate. Your estate is everything you own minus your debt. So cars, real estate, bank accounts, checking and savings, stocks, bonds, annuities, retirement, pension plans, businesses, if you're a sole proprietor, corporation, LLC, even your furniture or personal possessions, there's some assets in there as well too. So everyone needs to have an estate plan, not just the wealthy. Whether you're 18 or 65, you're gonna need some type of estate plan. All right, on page 81, guys, on your workbook, to ensure that the property will go to whom I choose when I die, I can make a simple will. Go ahead and throw these out there. To avoid the probate process, I can consider a trust. I would not want my family to have to try to make decisions for me so I can fill out advanced directives. You can also, I can give you an authority to trusted person to manage my accounts and my finances if I am unable to sign by a power of attorney. And to protect your children, I will name a legal guardian. And to make sure all my investment accounts would go to the persons I specify, I can register and frequently update my beneficiaries. To protect my children, their education, and cover my debt, I will evaluate the correct amount of life insurance. Number 8, if my total assets is over $1 million, I may be subject to estate tax. And number 9, I can direct that portion of my life insurance proceeds goes to pay for my final expenses. And lastly, to ensure my final expenses are handled accordingly to my wishes, I will keep these instructions in a safe place along with my other papers and will. That means don't put it under your bed, okay? All right. If I own a business, I need a succession plan. If I have a partner in the business, I'll need a buyout agreement. All my important documents, trust, wills, agreements, insurance, debt, retirement investment accounts, and any CDs and annuities need to be kept together in a safe place. And here's a quick tip: if you have all important documents stored in a digital form for easier access, especially when traveling. All right. Things here. Now, if you leave your assets to your child, and if a child is a minor, the court will appoint a guardian that will take care of the assets as well as the child. And the child will get all the inheritance when he or she reaches legal age. If you don't have a plan, the government has one for you, and you may not like it. So that's something that actually we went through recently. Unfortunately, one of my aunts did pass away, and we thought you had a will and a trust put in place, but unfortunately everything had to go to the probate court, and that took months to go through, and it was just not pleasant. So I encourage anyone to create a will and trust. So let's say if you have children and are remarried and you pass away, your assets then go to your current spouse. So the serving step-parent or your current spouse has no obligation to support the deceased spouse's biological children. So think about that for a second. If you have a responsibility to plan ahead, the best time to start is an estate plan is now. So of course life is going to be unpredictable, so you really never know what's going to happen. All right. And last few things here. When you travel, you should have ready power of attorney, healthcare directives, last will and testament, child travel consent, child medical consent if you travel with a minor whom you are not a parent of or share joint custody of. Everything is just in case. Ultimately, it gives you peace of mind. So if you have a plan in place, one with instructions that will protect your family, it will give you a lot of peace of mind at the end of the day. And this is one of the most thoughtful and considerate things that you can do for yourself and for your loved ones as well. All right. The last thing here, saving your future. Are you worried about your future? Are you ready to take charge of your future? Everything that we went through today is ultimately is on you. One of the greatest miracles in life that you can change your life by simply changing the way you think. If you think about want to be successful and you struggle towards your goal, you will probably achieve it. Everything that happens is you don't know anyone that's not successful when they put hard work into it. So life is hard, but presents wonderful possibilities. And believing in your future, you can become financially independent, have an action plan, increase your cash flow, make more money when you can, while you can, have multiple sources of income. You can have help. You do it in the financial industry. Spend less and save more. Rebalance your budget. Get more savings. Reduce your debt and liabilities. You can actually be debt free. And understand how money works. Become your own money manager. No one's gonna, you're your own money. Being your own money manager, you're the one that really sees your money and how you wanna pursue it and play the money game. So believing in your future, again, find something you believe in and dedicate your life to work for it. Have a clear financial goal. build a solid foundation, have a life purpose, build a legacy. Embrace change, expect to succeed, change your habits, expect to win, get up and get out, build the world and see the world, have fun. All right. So, last thing, of course, I'm not going to leave you without any some homework. So, of course, sit down with the person with your trainer and see where you are on track towards your retirement goals. Evaluate your needs for healthcare during retirement and what plan would be best for you, of course. And when was the last time you updated your wills and trusts? I think that's something to consider as well. And of course, read pages 48 to 50 and 68 and 80 to 86 if you're saving your future book, the blue book here. And again, who are 3 to 5 people who could benefit from our training? And of course, commit to our goal. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Toja. Thank you guys so much, and it was definitely a pleasure and joy to go through the workshop with you guys.
Thank you so much, everyone. Can we just unmute and just give a round of applause to our presenters and trainers for tonight? Thank you so much, Jamil. Thank you so much, Reggie. And a round of applause for everyone here too who stayed all the way to the end. It was a pleasure just to see that breakdown just for retirement planning, something that people don't talk about. Maybe don't know what's a 401k. Maybe you don't have an estate plan. Many people aren't thinking about long-term care. Very detailed information. Like I always say, we went through a lot. Keep on coming back until you can teach it yourself so that information can sink in. But thank you so much. You coming here today, helping us reach our goal of educating 30 million families by the year 2030. Please follow up with the individual who invited you here. Like I said, it's on the homework, and we're happy to see you again. So everyone, please have a beautiful, safe evening. See you next time. Take care.